What is up, winning team? I'm about to do one of the craziest things I could do, but this is what I created my channel for, to say the silent part out loud, and that's what we're going to be doing. Heads up, this video is going to contain very mature content. When doesn't it? These days, because I've been thinking about Epstein and all this stuff and all these conversations around legal age, and you guys, we've been talking about this. And so I, at some point in the last 24 hours, decided, like, hey, when did I need to look back through my own sexual experiences and figure out where this all started? Like, where was the first ever negative influences? And as soon as I saw that, and then also thought about a lot of situations I was in, I was like, I need to actually share this in detail with you guys, because it matters and somebody's got to say it, and I'm going to say it because what I have to say is about the industry, my experiences in the industry, my experiences with the church, my experience being in a relationship, because I think the elephant in the room, there's a massive elephant in the room why I was actually with the guy I was with that no one understood. And I'm realizing it's because, well, you're going to have to wait to find out. I am going to share it all. And I just love the fact that randomly, I was going to record these inside because I just ran some errands, but then it's raining. So I was like, this is even better. Let's sit outside and let's make a whole thing about this. So I'm going to tell you guys the whole story because I want you to understand the journey, right? Because I was thinking to myself, okay, at what point, obviously one thing that I think is very important to mention while I'm thinking about it now is I've never understood, and I don't to this day, why sex is such a taboo topic. That's how we all got here. And what I'm realizing, and what I realized while I was looking back at my own past, is I was dealing with people who had their own perversions going on within them. And so there was these constant projections. Like, you see it in the entertainment industry, like how they would talk about like Britney's and stuff when she was young, like before I was even born. And like, she's just a little girl in a cute dress doing her little dancey dance. And people are like, oh, Britney, you must love the attention you're getting. You must feel so sexually liberated and all this stuff. And it reminded me, like, you know what? This is exactly how these things began for myself. Like, in terms of me even knowing about a lot of things. It wasn't some temptations or something. It wasn't even the guys of my age group, right? At school and stuff. It was always the adults. And so I'm like, they really were the problem. And I'm going to give you guys an example, because this is what I'm going to tell you guys about. Can you imagine? I'm going to tell you about my actual sex life. Is crazy. Because the examples I'm going to give are going to prove that everything I've been saying is true. So one of the things I realized is that obviously life isn't equal. And I've said this to you guys before. So it's hard for people to understand the situations you're in or somebody else's situation, because you perceive that, like, oh, if I was in that situation, I would have done this. Or if I had this opportunity, I would have done that. Yeah. So that's where that all starts. So as a kid, right, obviously around the age of like 10, we were growing up on social media. So at this point, me and my friends' like biggest things in life is like our favorite TV shows. I used to already play computer games because I played computer games since I was 3 years old. And the games I'll be playing like cooking games, dress up games, racing games. Like, I would just search games and I'll be playing games. I'll be playing Sims and all this stuff, right? And so even going to Blockbuster, I don't even associate Blockbuster with movies. I associate it with games, because I would always go there and I'd always be begging my parents for the latest Sims game. And so everything that was happening was very innocent amongst me and my friends. And I remember the closest to any type of now I'm not going to get into the details of what happened when I was a child, because this is the internet and this is 2026. So if I start making out specific allegations, it's going to be all, why didn't you start a police investigation? And then it's like, bruh, sorry that at the age of like 7, I didn't know I needed to be carrying a flipping rape kit in my lunchbox and a flipping damn video cameras for me to be able to get justice on some like 25 of my prefrontal lobe filing forms. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to mention so many of the things that happened when I was younger for that reason, okay? But let's just say outside of whatever was already happening, which I thought was normal, right? At this point, I thought all this stuff these adults were doing was normal. And when I actually gave my life to Jesus at 7, I felt such heavy guilt because of what had happened already in my life. I felt such heavy guilt. And I remember being literally like 7 years old and crying for days and hours and like repeating to God, like, God, am I saved? Like, am I forgiven? Because I was blaming myself. I was already blaming myself for everything. And it's something I still haven't recovered from. And when you deal with these types of things, you don't, because you're going to see it then starts to become about, well, what were you wearing? What was this? But then in the most least likely situation, oh my gosh, my consent was respected and my boundaries. So at this point, right, I'm about 7 and I'm apologizing. I realized that all this stuff was wrong. And I especially realized it was wrong when I got baptized at 13. And that's when the guilt really set in, right? And the reason being, in terms of things that I would do, like when I was like 11, there was a guy I really liked, yeah. And literally, I remember there was one day, it was a Sunday, and he touched my boob, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to hell. I was like, you can't do this. It's a Sunday. This is the Lord's day. Like, that he just touched it very consensually. It was just, just kids, just, and I was like, oh my days, this is like the biggest thing ever. Like, this is what I'm saying. When did it start? Like, when did it start that everything became so extreme, right? Because I hate actually talking about this type of stuff anyway, because I'm like, why is everybody always so obsessed? And I realized I've always been so heavily sexualized, and it's always external, right? It's always external sexualization, not me, right? So I'm like, so I remember even as something as silly as like when I was like 12 or 13, I remember my brother, there was a girl he liked and she hugged him and it was like the biggest thing. And he was like, whoa. And by this point, I knew too much. And I knew that this was literally nothing in comparison to anything. But I was so great. I was so happy for him that he was able to like still be as innocent at that age, because my innocence had been torn away from me, right? So where did these innocences get torn away? Well, two main places. Number one, being unsupervised on the internet. So while I'm here on the internet talking to my friends and we're talking about how we're going to get matching leg warmers, have you heard the new, like, oh, are we going to watch the High School Musical dance along, sing along together, like going to the park? Like, this is how I know this town so well. Me and my friends would meet up, a group of mixed guys and girls. There was nothing weird about it, like literally nothing. We would just go around, knock at everybody's house, throughout the entire town, stop at the local park. And it was just such a pure childhood, right? There was not even in that friendship group, that whole few years, there wasn't any like real relationships, although I did like one of the guys. And my mum always used to say, I think that guy likes you, because the first person who used to get doors knocked on was mine. But it never went anything further than that. And again, we're kids. So these are kids. So we're just being whatever. And then you got these people on Facebook. So then obviously I'm here like all posing and whatever with my boobs out, because hello, I've had big boobs since I was literally 9. I started my period when I was 9. I don't remember ever wearing like a small bra. I was a double D at the age of 13, you guys. So there was no running from it. And also there was no education, because it was always just, oh, you need to hide, or like, oh, you're trying to do something. And that's when I started to realize this thing of when people like feel attracted towards you or feeling some weird feelings, that they start to like project onto you that you're doing this on purpose, right? So I wasn't. I just looked cute. I felt I looked cute with my little tops I used to wear, very innocently. I wasn't being massively sexualized even at school, although I will say I was accused by another girl, not by even one of the guys, but by another girl of stuffing my bra. This is when I was 10 again. So, and it was actually quite embarrassing, because she called it out in front of the whole class. And I remember I felt so uncomfortable anyways, because it always would be when we would change for PE, and we used to change with the boys in the room. And I'm here at like age 9, like growing these huge knockers, right? And so I didn't feel comfortable. So I actually wrote a fake note to the teacher as if it was from my mum. And obviously I got found out because I'm a kid, and they were like, why don't you just say something? And then me and one other girl who both had got, and I've never been somebody who's like big boobs, big body. I've always been big boobs and smaller body. So it doesn't look like I'm just some big girl, right? Which makes it worse. It makes it worse. And I remember even growing up, I used to watch see Lara Croft on Tomb Raider. And I used to think, and even these women in Hollywood, I'd be like, these flat chested women, I'd be like, you're so lucky that you can just like wear a vest top. You're so lucky you can just wear a vest top without people trying to accuse you. This is why I'm dreading the summer again, like as I do every year, because it's like, oh, here I go, going to be sexualized as always. Like, and I realized, yeah, as I was thinking about it, I'm always being sexualized by someone. I'm trying so hard to run away from all this stuff, and there's always somebody trying to touch somewhere or do something, always. And it's not me who's starting it, but it's always me that's to blame. So I had wrote a letter, and then they made a big fuffle about it because this is what adults do. They don't realize how sensitive it was of a topic, you know what I mean? And then eventually they did separate us, you know, guys and girls, which I don't know why we were never separated before, but I guess it's not typical. But then I guess, whose fault is that? It's not mine. But I'm still having to pay for it, right? And this is all before I'm 13, I want to add. So, and the other situation that I found myself in, which is again kind of embarrassing and overly sexualized. Well, I wasn't overly sexualized, but it happened when I was at school as well. When I started my period, I was like 9. And I remember because it was exactly a week before my 10th birthday, exactly 1 week. And I remember that I was at school and my teacher was like, so basically, after I just started my period, right, I needed to go to the toilet, right? And this was all new to me and I really wanted to have some privacy, right? So the toilets that were the most closest were the ones with a whole bunch of cubicles, but there was like one disabled toilet that was like about another few minutes walk that I was like, I'm going to go there because there's like more space and like this is nerve-wracking. And like this also isn't happening to any of my friends. My friends are all on training bras. None of them have started their period. They're so far from starting anything, right? And so I'm gaining a lot of attention for this, except from this other girl. But then because she was a lot bigger, I feel like people didn't really think about her like in the same way, because her whole body was kind of matching up with itself. Whereas with me, who's stick thin at 13, 30 double E. Did I say double D? I was double E at 13. Double E. So I'm like, okay. Yeah, so I go to this toilet. I come back and it's obviously taking me a bit of time. And then the teacher, as a woman as well, calls out in front of the entire class, like just like how this other girl called out in front of the entire class. Like, it's like wherever I go, the only thing that anyone has to say anything about as a woman is my appearance, my body, and my sexuality, what I'm getting up to sexually. Because this is why, like, when people are like, oh, I knew at 7 that I was straight or gay. You know what? I wasn't thinking about gay or straight. Yes, there was a couple cute guys, and I had my little phases, right, of different things. But like, I wasn't thinking into it. All these thoughts only came into my life, these different things, because of people making a big fuss. So then this teacher calls me out, because I guess, again, it's unusual for a 9-year-old to be, you know, going through whatever I was going through. And it's horrifying to think that this is why they probably justify it in things like Islam, where, you know, Muhammad was allowed, as long as you've been menstruated, you're allowed to get married to by a grown man. And that's like actually horrifying, right? To think about the fact I was just a child. She calls it out in front of the class. So why is it that you spent so much time in the toilet? And I was just like, lady. And I was so embarrassed, you guys. It was one of the most, these are the things I think I never want my kids to have to go through this. You know, the guys would always accuse me also of stuffing my bra. Well, if you're not really stuffing it, then just show us. Like, and I was this close to just flashing everybody, just to get people off my back. I'm just trying to be at school. I'm trying to like succeed. I want to do good at sports. Again, that's another thing that, you know, anyway. So anyways, when these things started to change a bit, is being a pastor's kid and being a pastor's daughter in particular, people again were obsessively tasking you and telling you, don't do this. And I'm thinking, I don't know what that means. Like, so many things that I discovered because I Googled, because again, I grew up in the years of technology. I Googled for words and phrases that I didn't understand that people were saying to me. It reminds me of this story of this Mormon girl, and I was thinking, this is so something that would have happened to me. And these types of things still do. Like, even to this day, I'll be using a phrase and there'll be some dirty, overly sexual context to how that word is used, and I'm just trying to use it like I'm just trying to say what I actually mean, you know what I mean? But then it'll become something really overly sexualized. I'll give you guys an example. So like when I describe why I wanted to be like, I would love to like, you know, be the apprentice of a butcher because I like the feel of raw meat. A lot of people don't like the feel of it, but I think it's fascinating to feel like the cartilage, the different muscles and stuff. But oh my gosh, in 2026, God forbid, I say the statement, well, because I enjoy the sensation of touching raw meat, as if I'm not treated as a whore already. So, you know, it's stuff like this where I'm just like, you just can't freaking win, like, regardless. So you cannot win. But anyway, so it started a lot with like church people. It would either be between adults, just like what you're wearing is inappropriate. You need to be modest because you don't want to be a temptation. You don't want to be a temptation. As if I didn't already have guilt for what happened to me when I was 7 years old, right? And before. And if I didn't already have guilt for like not realizing it wasn't, these things weren't normal until I was like 13. So, you know, whenever anything would happen, I would just kind of just allow it to happen, like until I was about 13, because I thought this is just what you do. Like I cannot lie to you guys, to this day, I can't forgive myself for that. And that's so wild because I was just a child. But then look at the state of the world. Like, look how people are talking about Epstein victims and all this stuff, like, oh, what you were leading him on, you should have known. And it's like, bruh. Anyway, so it's really sad to think that, like, to this day, I cannot forgive myself for being like just thinking at any point that any of this was acceptable or normal, even if I'm realistically talking. But like things that happened to me when I was an adult is I feel differently about, which we're going to see. So anyways, you know, don't wear this, you need not to be modest. So I'm thinking all the guilt of the world has been put on my shoulders. And bearing in mind, guys, I've always been somebody like you guys, why you guys see me mostly in a more tomboy era, unless I'm like really have a reason to like dress up or something, or if I'm like actually trying to make an effort. I'm pretty tomboyish in the way that I dress, and I kind of am somebody who's like, I'm either in Jordans or a pair of heels, and there's kind of like no in between. And unless I have a reason, I'm going to be in Jordans, I'm going to be in a t-shirt, I'm going to be in shorts. Like, I'm not going to be outwardly provocative. It's just not my characteristic. It also is. It's like another part of me. It's another part of like, you know, my womanhood. But it's like, again, I've learned that you can't even just be confident in your body. Like, if you walk with confidence, or if you wear something that looks nice or suits the shape that the good Lord gave you, right? Because I started to think, I'm going to stop feeling like I need to hide away the body that the God gave me, because he worked hard for me to be here. It's not my fault you people can't control yourself, right? And we're going to come to an example of exactly a time when somebody was very much able to control themselves under far heavier circumstances than anybody else, which is why I don't have any excuses, and I won't accept any excuses for anyone. But yeah, so I would be like, and I'll be in like, I remember one day I came to church, and one of the ladies at church was like, oh, you can't dress like this for church, it's inappropriate. I was wearing like, it was like a tracksuit, yeah? And I had like these, they were like, had turquoise joggers, and they were baggy, because I intentionally started over time, like subconsciously wearing really baggy clothes, to the point that eventually I started to wear like men's like clothing in like large, to the point it was stupid baggy, right? Because I was like, I need to hide my body, because I just keep getting blamed somehow for like having a body, I guess. Oh, it's raining. Oh well, as long as it doesn't get worse than this. It's honestly quite nice, because I'm quite hot and heated talking about stuff like this, because it's just infuriating. Because this is what I deal with. Like, this is why I don't want to leave the house. This is why I'm a lone ranger, because I've realized that no matter where I go, and the problem is the world, it's not even me. Like, I used to think maybe it's me, maybe I'm not doing enough. I realized, no, it doesn't matter. If I'm around other people, if I'm around other women and I'm confident, oh, you're just trying to do this for attention every day. If you're around other guys, oh, there's just the entitlement, or they just only see you as sexual objects, right? Because I remember even when I got into a relationship, I remember my ex saying to me one day, it was like, you know, like half of the guys that you're friends with right now actually just want to have sex with you, and they don't really respect you as much as you think they do. And I was like, well, damn. And he was right, by the way. He was right. Little did I know. And thank God somebody said something, because that's the other thing. People expect you to just assume and understand things, and nobody ever freaking explained to you, which is what I learned the hard way when I moved out. So, yeah, so these people are saying all this stuff. I was wearing like this tracksuit, yeah? And like, they were like, this outfit isn't appropriate for church. And I was like, well, if I'm in the house of the Lord, I'm not going to come to God any different to how I would be. I'm not going to dress any different to how I would dress on a normal day. This is what I'd wear on a normal day. A tracksuit and trainers, right? What's wrong with my outfit? Like, you know what I'm saying? I was never one of these girlies, like all trying to do up all my makeup and stuff. Like I said, I was more I've always erred more on the side of being a bit more tomboyish. Unless the only time that really changed was actually when I did end up in a relationship, in which case then that just unlocked the whole other thing. So, you know, I've always erred more on that side, just because it's just chill. Like, and also I think, like I said, psychologically, I knew that like it was safer for me to do that. Just like how I know psychologically now, it's safer for me to never be around anybody, right? Because somehow I've done something wrong just by existing. So next thing you know, it's the church people doing all of this, and like, oh, you're not dressing appropriately, you need to be more modest, And then also, this is when I realized, you know, and as I've been saying to you guys, how comes it's Christians, yeah, and a lot of religious folks, the main sin they love to talk about is this: There's so many sins in the Bible: pride, gluttony, lying, like all these sins. But everything's always, you need to save yourself for marriage. You need to do this. You need to make sure you're not a stumbling block. You're not a temptation. And these same flipping women, in the church who be behaving like this are the same ones who are the actual ones who go with all their bodies all out. Who I'm getting distracted by, like, wow, she is like, because I'm just a kid. So this is all just fascinating, And again, it's not so overly sexualized. So this is happening all simultaneously as there's grown men, right, finding me on the internet, on wherever I am, Club Penguin, Facebook, talking about you're mature for your age, you're responsible, you whatever, which is also emulated by what I was being told by others. Oh, you're such a great example. You're so mature for your age. So it made it easy for them to convince me of things and to accept things and allow things I should never have done. And I didn't tell anybody because I didn't think there was anything wrong happening. As illustrated by this story I've told you guys about how when I was at school, when I was 13, again, this was like 13 was a year. The day I decided to get baptized, it's like the devil don't care how old you are. Like, this is why I'm not surprised about the Epstein. The devil doesn't care. People are like, oh, a child, but a child. I'm like, bro, this is what I mean. This is why this stuff doesn't surprise me. So I'm here, like, I'm at school with my friends and we're at the ice cream van. It's the end of the day. Now, again, this is the things that make I have problems with as an adult. Going back to the fact Epstein was a teacher, right? A maths and science teacher like me. Good Lord. And so, my favorite teacher was actually a maths teacher, and thank God it was a woman. Thank God it wasn't damn freaking Jeffrey Epstein. And so, those are my favorite teachers at secondary school. But anyway, and so one day, I've told this story before, we go to the ice cream van, even though I, as a teacher, I have to do all these safeguarding this, preventing channel, all this training, DBS, all these trainings, all these checks in order to be allowed, right, to teach. But this ice cream man is allowed to just drive in onto the school property where we're all leaving school. So the bell's rung and the teachers are no longer like watching what's going on because their job is done for the day. And we're just being left unsupervised with this ice cream man. So this ice cream man, he starts making all these really weird sexual jokes, telling us about all the stuff he's done on this table. And me and my friends were laughing because we didn't know what the hell he was talking about. So I'm saying, I never knew what anybody was actually talking about, right? And to this day, there's things that when I hear certain words, terms, phrases, I'm like, I know I'm not Googling this because I'm going to I try to preserve as much of my innocence as humanly possible. You know what I mean? Because it's just going to come and get you. So he's all doing whatever he's doing, and guys, it was inappropriate what he was doing, low key. It was all telling us I've done this and this right here on this, right where everybody's putting all their money, where he's putting down everybody's ice creams, right there. He's doing all this. He's all showing us with a water bottle how to do this and how he did that, and we were all laughing because we just think this is funny. Like, oh my gosh, a great man. I'm talking about his penis and this stuff that we don't understand. So the way that everything came about, that anything actually happened, is, as I've said before. We were in school in PE, ironically, and this is in secondary school now. The previous stories are all in primary school. So there you go. Now we're in secondary school, and I'm like, me and my friends are sitting talking about it, like how silly it was and how funny it was, because we just thought it was funny. We didn't take it seriously. And then one of the teachers, she was like, did that really happen to you guys yesterday? And we were like, yeah, that's what happened. They were like, oh, okay, this is serious. So then they make it into this whole case, right? They turn into this whole case where they call him out. But then here's the thing, guys. It was so awkward because he was still able to come to the school after the fact, right? Nothing happened because I remember being in court and we were not like in the room, we were on video, although we were there at the location, and we're getting hammered with questions, right? This is what I'm saying. When you're like going through this stuff, like this is what I was saying, like even with other things, people are like, why don't you speak up? I'm like, you think I want to be asked question after question and absolutely lashed into about some of the most traumatic events that have ever happened in my life? I'd rather not, especially when the chances that I'm going to be the one to be even seen as a victim in any way are so little. Why the friggin' hell would I bother? So, this is why I'm just like, people are just so dumb. But then again, it makes me realize that I think we're all living in different experiences, because it seems to me that a lot of people genuinely don't experience some of the things I talk about, right? Or everybody's just keeping quiet about it. And if that's the case, then of course it would be me to have the bollocks to say something, right? And so, yeah, we go to this whole court thing. Our parents are all there, and then they basically, in the end, they're like, you know what, we're not going to do anything because the girls don't seem traumatized. I'll never forget that statement. The girls don't seem traumatized. Of course we weren't. We were like 13. We didn't think anything of it. You know what I mean? We thought it was a whole bunch of funny. It was all funny. And but then it made our lives awkward now, because this is what happens with adults when they get involved with these things. So it made our life awkward, because then we would still see him at the ice cream van in school. He would then be in the ice cream, and where I just was just now, in the center of the town center, he would then be there for like the rest of forever. So it was always awkward even just leaving the house. And I'm like, if you guys are going to do justice, get the freaking job done, or just don't do anything, because we could, nothing even needed to happen. We probably could have, you know what I mean? But if you're good, and then to say we weren't traumatized, of course we freaking weren't, because we're not like you delinquents, you degenerates. We don't understand what's even happening here. It's only later in life, when I've thought about these things in hindsight, that I'm now realizing, and this is why I went from all excited about life and excited for the winning season to desperately asking the Lord every day why he won't just let me die as hard as I try to, right? So that was just another situation. It was awkward for us. Nothing happened to him. He went straight back to work at the office. I don't know if he came back to the school or not, but either way, backwards. So that's what's happening. That's where I'm at about age 13, right? I haven't myself outwardly, consensually attempted to do anything. Okay? I'm not even really thinking about it. I am in the sense of now, because I'm being exposed to things and people are telling me about things, and I have access to the internet, was not a good story, and I had to just wrap it up, because I was like, I just don't need to be seeing this stuff, right? I just don't even need to know. It wasn't even in my mind. Then obviously, as the older I got, I'm getting closer to like 16, and then, it's getting worse, because now I'm getting more and more independence. And in the same time, every single negative experience I'm having, right? Because I've told you guys, my whole life, including till now, both men and women, freely touch my body, and if anything happens, I get the blame. Oh, but you sounded like you wanted it. Oh, but you sound like this. So this is why even when a lovely gentleman wants to speak to me, I'm like, don't smile, don't look down, keep 6 feet away, because if I give off a hint, if I'm too nice, because this is what used to happen to me around church settings, I'm all here trying to be the good pastor's kid, and every time there would be some kind of situation like where there will be no one there, someone who's on the prowl and someone's making a move, right? As soon as that, it could be like this is similar to the story I gave of me in the dance studio the other day. We could all be in the church building in the main hall, and I've just hung back because I used to like to hang back. This is also why I don't even like to worship in church, because it's not a safe space, right? I used to hang back because I would want to just really meaningfully finish off my moment with the Lord, you know what I mean? And then you would have, as soon as I'm alone, as soon as I'm alone, someone's doing something, someone's swooping in, someone's pushing you up against this, someone's pushing you against that. And I'm just like, it's the same thing that happens to me now. I'm literally trying to spend time with the Lord. And then whatever happens, I'm going to get blamed. So do you think I told anyone any of this stuff? Hell no. Because I'm going to be the one to be blamed. So all my life, all I've ever dealt with is being overly sexualized, right? And I thought that this was like a unique experience, and I thought this was all a punishment because of what happened when I was young, right? But I've soon realized as a result of all of this, oh no, we just live in a really heavily sexually perverted world, and I just don't resonate with that energy. But unfortunately, I happen to be, this is why I keep mentioning about the boobs thing, because even when I'm watching anime, I'm like, the girls, I haven't seen really many girls in Japan with boobs like this. Why are they always half naked? And why are they always got these huge, anyway. So I'm like, I was lost. It was always going to be hell to pay. And then even with stuff like that, you have the girls who are like, you must be so lucky to have that. If I got that amount of attention. And this is why I know there are women, and there are men also, who I 100% believe, like with the Epsteins of it all, who are so desperate for the attention, right, that they would just allow this stuff to happen willingly, because now they're getting the attention. Like, this is why you guys will see, I'm like, I don't want money, I don't want power, I don't want fame, because it's not as good as what people think it is. People just want you, they see you as a utility. They see you as something to be used, abused, and disposed of. So I don't see how any of these people I've been mentioning are any different to anybody like Jeffrey Epstein. Well, anyway, after all is said and done, so fast forward in time, I've now left to the city, and there I am, dumb, stupid idiot, like with the other girls, all half naked, drunk on the streets of London, right? Dumb. And I actually thank God, because I know God has protected me. I know God has protected me because I've put myself in so many precarious situations and walked away. In fact, all the most dangerous situations I've ever been in are in the trusted institutions, around close friends and family, around the church and whatever. Fast forward. So it's been about a year. I've learned a few little tidbits of wisdom, but I went out with no wisdom at all. Always just blamed for anything that happened. Oh, it's your fault. You wanted it. You coerced it. You should have dressed more modestly. Like, this is why I said to hell with modesty last year, by the way. I'm going to dress however the hell I want to dress, because you know what? I've realized even when you cover up, even if I was to cover up absolutely everything and look as ugly as possible, doesn't change anything. Even now, look at my life. And like every few days, there's somebody bothering me, somebody trying to talk to me, somebody trying to and I'm like, you know what? And I'm not even making an effort. My hair's a mess. My clothes, my shoes are dirty, like whatever. Oh, and someone's still interested in you. You can't win. So I may as well at least get to feel comfortable and appreciate my body. So yeah, to hell with modesty. And again, you're the one who can't control yourself, which brings me to this story. So next thing you know, me without my boundaries, because I don't know anything about boundaries, because I'm just used to people just crossing them all the time. I used to meet this guy who happens to be my ex. We're going to call him Bob, which is actually ironic because that was the code name I used to use. We're going to call him Bob, okay? Because I don't like this whole word ex. Again, it's got loads of these connotations and whatever. We don't like it. Let's just go with Bob. So Bob, I meet Bob, I'm 18, and I remember distinctively how the first moment I ever saw this man, because I was walking around with a tray full of shots. I had like 20 shots on the tray, and this is the type of thing I always used to do. I'll walk around and I'd be like, who wants a shot? Who wants a shot? And I would just be handing out shots for free, right? This is why I can't be trusted with money, because with me, I want everybody to have a good time. This is my saying to you guys, it's my problem. I'm not here trying to do weird things. No, who wants a drink? Who wants something to eat? Like, let's have a party. Let's have a good time. After party at mine. You know what I mean? Like, that's my energy. So I see him, and notably he doesn't drink, which again, certain things. So I spot him and I'm like, wow, I've never seen a man this gorgeous. And like his entire life flashed before my eyes, by the way, which was crazy. Anyways, he was very like not partying. He was just there with his friends, very quiet on the side with a straight face. And so me being me is like, oh, who's this fella? So I go up to speak with him and whatever. We go back and forth for months. We're not talking. We haven't exchanged numbers. We just keep accidentally bumping into each other. And every time I see him, I'm all like, oh yeah, like all in the end, the sky. And he's like, I don't know. I just feel like the version of you that's out here right now isn't who you really are. And I was just like, and he would say things like that all the time. Like not all the time, but every now and then. And it would really stick in my head. And I was like, you know what? Low key, he was right, because I was actually I kind of look at how I was behaving as self-harm, because I would like intentionally run into the road to see if I would get hit by a car, and like I would intentionally do things like to see if it would kill me, like, you know what I mean? And just other dumb nonsense I would do, you know, just for the plot. And I'm going to leave some things out because it's already going to be airing out so much, especially from this point of the storyline. So, and I remember in like the very early days, I would do things like I would just leave him with my phone unlocked and go off somewhere for 30 minutes and come back. Like, we're not in a relationship. We're not talking. We haven't even exchanged phone numbers. And I'm just here with no boundaries, because as far as I was concerned, and this is why when people are like, oh, you need to censor boundaries, you have no boundaries. It's like, yeah, well, because everyone's trampling over them all the time. This is why I'm exhausted now that I finally have them, because I have to fight to keep and freak those stupid boundaries all the time. This is why I'd rather be by myself, so at least I can take a break. Right? I could take a break from fighting off, because I'm going to be the one to get blamed anyway. So, you know, he's out like, you know, I'm just like boundaryless, yeah. And next thing you know, oh yeah, one day I was at home, and oh yeah, so we end up exchanging phone numbers. Ironically, like a week before my birthday party, because I threw a birthday party here, and I invited all these people from London. Again, I was like 18, like this is kind of nuts, right? And I've invited all these people. I'm like, I'm having a birthday party. I've invited him immediately. I'm like, please come, like, please come to the party. Whatever. And he did. And it's ironic because the way he ended up coming is his friend was the one who was like, you guys should exchange your numbers. Because after one party, that's how it happened. After one party, we went back to his friend's house for like an after party where everybody was playing all drinking games and stuff. And then his friend was like, you know, you guys, because he could see that no one was going to ask. We're both being stubborn about this. I was like, well, I'm not going to ask for your number, the heck? And so whatever. So anyway, fast forward, he comes to the party, and then we started to kind of just talk. Now, here's the key part for the storyline at hand here. He used to come to my house, right? Where in my flat, I used to live with my two housemates. Once we eventually moved there, he used to come, and for months, he would stay the night. Like, as in, not like he would do it over months, but like anytime he would come, he would actually stay. And it started out like, what actually started out is, at first, like when he would come, he would always immediately leave. Like, he'd be like, okay. Because the first time he came over, he was like, what are you up to? And I was like, oh, I'm cooking. And he's like, oh, make me some food. And I panicked. I was like, what do you mean I've got to cook for somebody? Like, and then he came over and then he had whatever. And then he just left. Like, he didn't, all this time, yeah, he wasn't trying to do anything. Now, I'm here boundaryless, yeah. This guy is in my house while I'm dressed in all skimpy clothing. I'm all giving him food. We're all sitting playing card games on my bed and all this stuff, yeah. And he didn't try anything. It was so overwhelmingly consensual about everything that was happening. He would be like, it would get to 2 a.m. And I want you to remember that this guy lived 2-hour drive away. So every time he's coming, he's driving 2 hours to get there and 2 hours back. Every single time he would come, right, he would be like, well, you didn't say I should stay, so I'm leaving. It could be 3 a.m. It could be 3 a.m. He wouldn't do what the other sleaze bags of guys I've seen where, like, you know, it happened to me a few times and we would have parties because we'd have house parties and stuff. And then guys would be like, oh, well, I mean, it's like 3 a.m. now, so I just have to stay, right? Like, it's okay. Like, you know, and then I'm just like, oh, hell no. So that's why I just don't let anybody in certain spaces. You know, like I said, I've had to learn all my lessons the hard way. And so he wouldn't, and nothing would happen. And I remember because my housemates would be like, and how big is it? Because imagine this guy's been coming over for like months, yeah? And they were like, how big is it? I bet it's big, like, and all of this. And I'm thinking, mate, is this where our priorities lie at this humble stage? We've not even done it. Do you know what we're doing? We're playing card games. We're watching anime. Like, we're talking. I'm cooking. And actually, it was really sweet because he could see that we were broke student girls. I mean, he was a student himself. But like, so he would do little things like put money on the gas and the electricity because he'd be like, oh, these girls don't have the money. And like, it was just funny. But not once, and this is the point of the story, in all of this, not once did this man ever force himself on me. And he had every opportunity. He was consensually in my house. He confirmed the consent of that he was allowed to be there or stay when he would stay. If I was to say no at 3 a.m, he would leave at that time and he would not complain. And he'd always say, I have to ask your permission. Can you ask your housemates for permission if they don't mind me being here? Of all the types of people that came through that house, of all the situations I've been in with humans, nothing. And he would always be like, yeah, I would never even have sex with a girl if she was drunk. I was never happen, blah, 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 blah. And it was real. And here's me, literally half naked, getting out of the shower, getting dressed in front of him, like, you know, hanging about, like just aloof and just boundaryless. And he never, ever crossed the line, ever. Like, that's the crazy part. The only reason anything eventually happened was because I, for the first time, was allowed to be in a situation where I felt safe enough. And I made the move. I did. It was me. And because of that, I never felt so safe in my life. Because somebody had consistently over time, you know, just respected my boundaries. And because somebody had actually done that, I actually felt safe for the first time. And I was thinking about this last night as I was trying to sleep. This was the last time I slept, was when I was in a relationship. The last time I used to sleep, because it was the last time I wasn't worried about something or someone trying to get to touch me out or do something outside of my boundaries, right? It was the last time I knew I could just do whatever. I could be here naked, right? I could do whatever. Nothing is going to happen as long as I'm saying no. And I hate to admit it, but I will admit that I did test it out in the beginning. Like, I would be like, let me see if I tell him that I would like him to stop. Let's see if he does. Because I was like, I need to feel this out. Because I've been in so many situations where people can't control themselves, supposedly. And lo and behold. And so for that entire time, of all the things. And the irony is, and this is the punchline, this is the gag. This is a man, right, who was diagnosed autistic at like age 7, yeah? And who's diagnosed psychopathic. So when you hear people talk about, oh, my ex was this, my ex was this, I actually have the paperwork. Like, before autism was the trend, and before it was fun to call your ex narcissistic, and that's what's funny, because even to him, it's like, it was black and white enough. To somebody who was lacking in remorse, he wasn't very remorseful, he didn't care. Like, you know what I mean? And he would actually tell me all the time, like, certain things. And I liked being around that energy. I liked being around somebody that wasn't like trying so hard to prove themselves or wasn't, you know, whatever. And he would always say, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And he would use that as across the board. I mean, he would also do that himself. Like, you don't have to do anything. He doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. Of course, but he'd be like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And it was like, wow. And so of all the people in my entire life that I've ever known, of all the spaces I've ever been in, and of all the situations of how I've conducted myself, the one time that I'm in a safe enough space where I don't have to overthink every single detail of how I'm coming across about my appearance is with a psychopath. Diagnostic. Not in my head, not I went onto BuzzFeed quiz. Diagnosed. But the place where I'm just trying to stretch my hands to the Lord and be on, and just close my eyes and just, exhale at church. And I have to be worried that as I'm trying to praise the Lord, and I'm just on the internet here just trying to play games on Club Penguin, and all I'm thinking about is how I can't wait to get another puffle. Which puffle am I taking out? What are the new costumes this season? How can I, find all the little special skills? You know what I mean? I'm going out with my friends, right? We're just hanging out, we're climbing trees and stuff, and there's girls and boys there, and it's not overly heavily sexualized. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking about this stuff. I'm watching the freaking Hannah Montana, right? Little do I know as well in the background that these same people who I'm watching, who I'm enjoying, are having to experience the same exact nonsense behind the scenes. So this is why, you guys, I just don't have any patience. This is why I had to tell you all in detail. And I can assure you, that was the first time, and I know this is a horrific thing to say and it's deep, but I've made my life and this channel about me saying the things that that other people would never say. But I can assure you that the first ever time when this thing happened with this guy, right, that was the first time where I was like, this is the first time I've ever felt like I've had a healthy sexual experience in full. This is the first time. And I only realized about 2 years down the line, when like a lot of things, my nervous system was behaving differently, because my nervous system wasn't scared. I wasn't feeling defensive. And also I didn't have to overthink anything. Like I said, I could actually just be my natural self, my natural personality. That's why my more sexual side also did come out, because it's like, I can actually do that safely without it just being like, oh, you want to move your body? Oh, we're going to be so entitled to your body. Because that's what it is. It's the entitlement. It's the entitlement. And the entitlement stems from the fact that people it's their demons. It's their demons within them that they are not in control, because he was in control. He was in control. Like the amount of people who've been like, oh, this girl, I've seen poor old girls, right? Even in Mormonism, even in Islam, whatever. I'm seeing them, right? They're wearing skirts going but all the way halfway down their shin, right? And if it accidentally peeps up and we see a little kneecap, they're going to be blamed for whatever happens to them. And who wants to force himself onto anybody anyway? Because that's what he used to make me feel like. He's like, his energy was like, why would I ever force myself onto somebody who doesn't want it? And it's like, you know what? That's so true. Oh, hello.
Don't jump these muddy walls.
It's all right. Yeah, like who would want to force himself onto somebody anyway? And it never occurred to me. So like in the process of all of this, I had so many epiphanies in this 5-year period. And it's crazy that just as that ended is when I decided to leave. And the Lord has been hiding me away in this town, right? Because it's like, and yes, there are obviously reasons, there are bad things he did, but can I tell you, of all the bad things that have ever happened to me, I would rather take all of the other ones, because it doesn't feel nice to be treated like a utility, like a toy. It doesn't feel nice when somebody seems disappointed because they asked you out on a date and you're like, oh, I don't really want to date anyone. Oh, please, I'd just like to get to know you. All for them to basically have put a price tag on you, thinking, okay, I'm going to take her out, spend her a couple £100 and she's going to give it all up. Like, do you know how sickening that is? To feel like somebody's put a price tag on your body. Like, this is why I could never do it. This is why I could never be a sex worker in reality, unless I was actually doing it for the sake of the money and as a business move. And this is why I understand Jezebel better than a lot of people, because it's not for the enjoyment. There's no enjoyment. Like the women who pretend like they're having some kind of liberation by being all over the show. It's not. It's that they don't value themselves. Because I was in that place as well of like, I didn't value myself because I wasn't feeling valued. I never knew what the concept of being valued even was, right? And then to be treated with such high level respect, it kind of made me be like, oh, wait, so it's possible. Oh, wait. And then getting really close with the Lord, So I realized people, it's the entitlement. Oh, I've spent all this money on you. Like, this is what I hate about dating these days. Oh, I've done this. I go to the gym. I make all this money. I have this. I'm funny. I'm tall. I'm this. I've done everything you should have. So I should be entitled to having you. I should be entitled to doing whatever I want with you and having as many of you as I want. I'm entitled now. It's that, to me, an average dude who I meet with that energy, to me, is no different to Jeffrey Epstein. Can I just explain? Like, can we see that? Because it's the entitlement. Oh, well, I'm a man of God, and you should know that because I'm a man, I face temptation. Listen, we all face temptation. Do you think I don't also find a lot of men tempting? No, actually not a lot. Because in order for me to be tempted, again, because I feel like I'm actually a woman with a healthy relationship with sex in the first place now. And I feel like in order for me to be sexually tempted, I have to actually respect you. So like most men are out from the gate from there. So it's like... because you know what I'm saying, and it's crazy because like everybody else will sit on their high horse. You have the married couples with their secret gay husbands or whatevers, or who, you know, are just basically allowing themselves to be raped every day just for the sake of being called a good wife, or other women who are just giving up their bodies. Because again, the other thing is, when people think of you like as in a sexual way, they literally treat you like you are just a piece of ass, and it is the horriblest feeling ever to be treated like just a disposable, like they treat you that way. It's like you're just waste, you're just something and someone for me to use and get rid of. I hate that feeling of being treated like that. This is why I don't want to have friendships, relationships. I don't want nothing to do with anything, because I'm sick of being treated like a utility. And I've had to be fighting with God the last 2 years or so, like, God, do I actually offer any value in this life if it's not what I'm doing for others? If it's not something they feel entitled to? Oh, you're a teacher. Oh, you can help with this. Oh, you this. Oh, you can do that. Why is everything about me about you? And the amount of times I've been told, with your skills and you, do you know how God could use you? Do you know how... I don't want to be used. I'm sick of being freaking used. I don't want to be used. I don't. I'm sick of being freaking used, and I'm sick of being blamed. And this is what I'm saying. This is where the punchline is of the Bob scenario. Because there's other people who've looked down when I was in this relationship. Oh, look at her. She's changed. She's changed. Yeah, I realized I don't have to, like, things have changed. No, it's not fun coming back to the house, and some of us don't remember what happened. Some of us do. Some of us had this happen with this guy, like, and all this. The girlies, I remember they were like, "You've changed." That was part of the reason, you know, my relationship ended with my housemates. And one of the parts it came down to, because there are other negative things about him, and they were right about them, like, to be honest, and they were deal breakers, which is why the deal was eventually broken. But I'm like, who's winning here though? Because like, I'm here just with somebody that I can like not worry about anything around. And you're coming back all the time, going through this left, right, and center, all liberated. And you're like, oh, it's not fun anymore. You stopped having fun when you got in a relationship. I was like, I started having fun. Because I could finally let go. I could finally just let go. And this is why I want to be able to just go somewhere where I can just be by myself, so I can just let go. Like, I feel like my creative blocks I'm experiencing and just all my blockages right now is because I just don't have a safe enough space to just let go, right? And not be worried about somebody trying to use me or somebody trying to abuse me, and somehow I'm still always to blame and no one else ever seems to be. So that's the realities, you guys. That's the realities. It's the entitlement. And it's the fact that when you're in different positions, yeah, because I appreciate the thing about Bob is that he wasn't shy of female attention. So it's the classic thing I'm saying. It's always the freaking starved, thirsty people who are the most worst people. Right? Or people who've manipulated themselves into where they are or whatever. And so even with the likes of the Chris Browns of it all, I always use him as an example. A lot of guys will be like, oh, Chris Brown's just all these women and we don't understand why Chris Brown's getting all these women. Yeah, exactly, you don't. And maybe you should think about it. Because maybe if you were doing more of that, maybe you would be getting more women rather than sounding like a freaking loser. Maybe you would figure out, here's a thought. Maybe he sees that what a woman wants also matters. Because that's what I felt like. I was like, for the first time, I feel like what I want actually matters. And it wasn't just in that sense. It was like things, asking me questions like, what is it you want to eat? I actually get to choose. Like, I'm not just going to be told what, because this is what people do with me as well. And it happens with me as adults to this day. What you need to do. This is why I have so much fury. I'm like, you guys, we've listened to what you need to do from what you guys have said. And guess what? It didn't work out. So maybe if we're not listening anymore, maybe we have a reason. what you need to do is, what you need to do, all that I ever hear throughout my life is what I need to do, what I need to do. So yeah, this is the first time somebody's like, well, what would you like? Or what wouldn't you like? You know what I mean? Like, for real. And not just telling me how my opinion is wrong. Like, I'm like, oh, I would never eat, I don't want to eat, I don't know, I don't like to eat something sweet for breakfast. That's true. Oh, but you know, you should try this. Oh, you're not a fan of oats. Oh, look, because I hate oats, guys. I hate oats, I hate pancakes, I hate waffles. Okay? I hate them. People be like, oh, but you got to try them with this. I'm like, I don't like them. I don't like them. This is what I mean when I say that. I just don't. I don't like the texture. I don't like types like food like that. That's not my cup of tea. I don't like them. I've tried them. I don't want to try them. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Stop telling me, like, this is what I'm saying, it's on every single level. And it's like, you would never speak to a grown man like this, because this is what would happen when I'd be around this guy, and then he would be like, something would happen when he's not there. Like this 2-year stalker. And he would say literally, like, he's never there when I'm there. Because this is the thing. These predators, they don't show up when there's real men and women in the room. They don't. They only show up when the prey is weak, just like in the jungle, just like in nature. And so again, it's like people are like, oh, this can't be happening. But yeah, of course you didn't see it. Of course, if you're a man and you would never do this stuff, you're not going to believe a lot of this stuff, which makes it only more difficult for us, by the way. Because those men are not going to be around because they know you're around. And that's what makes it even more sickening, is that they know that what they're doing and they know the risks. So they know when they need to avoid. They know. That's such a scary thought. They're like, oh yeah, if we do this, this and this person's going to see, this person's going to know. So yeah, anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that there. There's more to come, right? But I really wanted to avoid talk, because I hate talking about like my previous relationships and stuff like that. But I just felt like on this topic, as I was thinking about it, and I was thinking back to the days of like, and when I say safety, I'm not even talking about like, oh, if something happens, I'm talking about that I don't have to worry that that you don't have self-control. That's pretty much what I'm saying. I don't have to worry that you don't have self-control. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And that for me was like gold. Truly. Because in other situations, oh, well, I did this and I did that. That's why I've always found it fascinating that he opted out of drinking alcohol. And I was like, you know what? Low-key, I get it. You know? And stuff like that. Whereas other people be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have been like, you know, other guys, yeah, would blame you like as a woman. He would be like, no, I wouldn't do anything with a girl that's drunk. Other guys would be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have gone out. You see, you shouldn't have gone out drinking if you didn't want something bad to happen. It's like, so we're always making the excuses. Because I've seen people in compromising situations and been able to keep self-control. This is what I'm saying. Oh, well, if you didn't want that to happen, you shouldn't do. Okay. Do we understand how sickening that sounds? Anyways, I gotta go because this is gonna stop recording anyways. But yeah, guys, I hope that has been shed some light, and I'm not finished. I've got more to say, so stay around. Because if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. I'll see you next one.